Happy Wednesday! Today we are going to cover what is cortisol, how does it work, and how does it affect our body. Cortisol is something that is all over social media at this point. Every hormone has its time in the sun, and cortisol seems to be right now. So cortisol is our stress hormone. That's what it's known as. It is a steroid produced by our adrenal glands, and we need it to live. But we also need it in proper balance. Cortisol is necessary. It is not to be demonized. We truly need this hormone to survive. It helps with so many different facets and functions. Our adrenals are very closely related and talk very closely to our thyroid. So oftentimes if there is any issues within the adrenal realm, the thyroid might kind of feel a little bit of that. And the cortisol also is very, very closely related to our sex hormones. So oftentimes if we are dealing with issues within the adrenals and cortisol, there are rundown effects of that. Cortisol's role within the body, it plays so many. The adrenals in particular have many different roles. They produce cortisol, DHEA. They work closely with our kidneys to help with aldosterone and fluid regulation. Cortisol plays a role with proper balance of inflammation, so it can be inflammatory and anti-inflammatory. It plays a role with blood sugar management and blood sugar regulation. So there are a lot of roles here. But what I want to focus on is what happens when our body is in a long period of low to medium stress, a short period of high stress, or a long period of high stress, right? So a lot of the times when we say, I'm really stressed out, I'm in this period of high stress, we assume that that means that we have heightened levels of cortisol in the body, which can cause inflammation, it can cause all of these issues. So we might go for a supplement that is geared towards high cortisol, right? The reality of this is you really have to understand what your past several years have looked like, several months have looked like, because what tends to happen is if you are in this heightened stress period for a prolonged amount of time, which many of us are, because we kind of adapt, and what might be a level 5 stress or a level 10 stress to us right now, 6 months later, if we've been in that environment for a long period of time, we might only register as a 2 or a 3. We're still just as stressed out, we're just becoming a little bit more resilient to that stress, right? So if we automatically assume I'm stressed, I'm having all of the signs I'm seeing on TikTok, I have moon face, right? Which is where we have kind of inflammation and puffiness in the face itself. I'm having, issues falling asleep. I'm having issues with fatigue. I'm wired but tired. I'm just seeing systemic inflammation. I'm having bloating. My periods have become irregular. And we just assume that we're in a period of overproducing cortisol. The supplements you pick and that are geared towards that might actually do more harm because they're geared to slow down cortisol. In reality, if you've been in this for a longer period of time and you've switched from my adrenals are overproducing to they can't keep up anymore, so now they're underproducing, you are going to be giving yourself a supplement that will further lower the production of cortisol. So that's why it's really important to understand the entire picture, the big picture, and how to interpret these signs. Simply saying, I have puffy face and I'm having problems sleeping, I'm really tired, I must have high cortisol, is not necessarily the answer. So you want to take a look at all of your symptoms. You want to take a look at, is my gut health in a good spot? How are my periods and cycles? How is my mood? We could go down an entire list of questions that we ask our clients when they onboard with us to get a better understanding. However, a really smart thing to do if you do feel like you've done the basics, you've pulled back on stress, you've improved your diet, you've pulled back on training, that is something that we recommend to some people, and you've nailed those basic tenets, is to go ahead and get some form of testing done. But we really recommend, though, that you nail those foundationals, those basics, because there can be a lot of improvement from that. And in the course of the time after you solve this problem, if those changes are not made, that problem is going to come right back. So what we recommend, if you feel like you are having any type of issue with stress and cortisol and your adrenal glands, is first and foremost, ensure that your gut is in a really good spot. Ensure that you are fueling properly. You are eating enough food. You are eating good quality food. You are getting your nutrients in. Ensure that you're getting enough water and electrolytes. Ensure that you're getting enough sleep. If sleep is an issue because of the cortisol, try to work through and make sure that the basics of sleep hygiene are taken care of. This could be everything from temperature, loud noises being under control, pets being in the room. There's so many things that we could go through on that, a proper bedtime routine. If you have those done, recommend pulling back on training. Focus on breath work, yoga, slow movements, keeping your heart rate under a certain, percentage of what your max is. At that point, if you've nailed a lot of the basics, those things should be going. The kind of next level up, which you should be doing at the same time, is assess your lifestyle. Assess your stress levels at work, how you're dictating your time, who you're spending time with, all of those really kind of more in-depth ways of analyzing your stress. After that, that's when you can opt to test. That's when you can opt to add in supplements. But truly for that, work with somebody. Do not just throw supplements into the mix because they're marketed for high stress or help your cortisol. You don't know what's going on. You need to properly interpret that. The last thing you want to do is add in a supplement that is made to raise your cortisol because it's low if it's already high, or lower your cortisol if it's already low. Let me know if that all makes sense. Drop questions below about specifics you've heard, adrenal cocktails, like the moon phase, anything that you've seen on social media that is confusing to you. Drop those questions. Let's help you guys sort through this and figure out the best path forward. But as always, remember, you want to start with the foundations. You want to start with your gut and then move from there.